What do Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden eat? How are the products selected and their safety checked? And how much do the president's chefs get paid? I'll tell you everything about the diet of the most powerful people of today, from their favorite dishes to their attitude towards regular drinks. And believe me, some of their habits will surprise you. But I'll get to that at the end. And let's start with Russia and their special control. After all, it's not just people with culinary education who are involved in food preparation here, but active employees of the Federal Protective Service, or FSO. At the Kremlin food factory, only FSO employees with specialized education work. And it is these people who are responsible for the diet of Russia's top officials. All products that end up on the president's table undergo strict control in the FSO laboratory. This creates certain difficulties for the chefs. If something is rejected, they have to come up with new dishes on the fly. But they understand well that such control measures are necessary for safety. Former CEO of the Kremlin food factory, Igor Bukharov, shared interesting details. He noted that food is prepared either in the special FSO kitchen or with the participation of a sanitary doctor. Former Kremlin chef Jerome Rigaud talked about strict control over the quantity of food. If more is served than ordered, the origin of the product is checked. There's FSO and FSB control at different levels. It's normal. When you work there, it's tough. And now I understand that they helped me so I wouldn't make a mistake and nobody would ever get sick, Rigaud shared. Kremlin chef Vakhtang Abushidi talked about the process of alcohol testing, which is done by specially responsible people. It often happened that the chef would coordinate the menu, purchase the products, and some of them would not return from the laboratory, being rejected. As a result, you have to quickly come up with a new dish worthy of the president in half an hour. And then it starts all over again. People come to you, you pack it in jars, and send it to the laboratory. It's not like they send you the analysis in 2 hours. It takes at least a day. People come to you again. Time passes, Abushidi said. He emphasized that in the Kremlin, control over the weight and quality of each vegetable is a matter of professional honor. From the garden to the president's plate, products are carefully monitored. I wouldn't say I'm surprised by such caution. But how picky is Putin himself? And here, opinions differ. His ex-wife claimed that she didn't immediately figure out Vladimir Putin's culinary preferences. He either ate everything to the last crumb or simply refused if he didn't like the selection of products. He didn't criticize, didn't praise, didn't show any particular emotions. Lyudmila Alexandrovna interpreted this as an expression of his modesty. But Putin himself and his representatives see it differently. The president assures that he eats whatever is served to him and doesn't make a cult out of food. His press secretary, Dmitry Peskov, emphasized that Putin prefers simple food, trying to avoid flour. There's a funny story about scallops. At the beginning of his presidency, Putin decided to ask the chefs to make something extravagant for the first time. They sent an order: scallops for the president. When the dish was brought to Putin and he was asked if he liked it, he answered affirmatively, despite the strange taste, and the chefs sighed with relief. It's good that you liked it. We killed so many chickens. Although maybe the president just didn't notice the difference. Okay, what about Putin's favorite dishes? The chefs didn't have to worry long about having to indulge in exotic dishes and turn chickens into scallops. It turned out that the president sets them tasks that are easy to handle. Actually, there's not much time to devote to food. I prefer vegetables, tomatoes, cucumbers, leafy salads. For breakfast, porridge, cottage cheese, and honey. If I have to choose between meat and fish, I'll choose fish. Although I also love lamb. I'm not particularly interested in sweets, except for ice cream. And I prefer to drink only green tea, Putin told journalists. By the way, that's where the mystery of the thermos comes from, which you can often see in the president's office. No special water and suspicion, just hot tea to avoid bothering the stuff unnecessarily. Putin's morning can start with an omelette or boiled quail eggs. During the day, fruits. And in the evening, a glass of kefir. It's also known that the president loves pickles and vitamin cocktail of horseradish and beets. Anatoly Galkin, the Kremlin chef, noted that although the dishes for the president are prepared in a special kitchen, the basis of the menu is the same as for others, but may differ in details. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin appreciates good cutlets, loves lamb, veal, also doesn't mind fish. In the end, they're just like us, Galkin shared. You might ask, what about alcohol? He doesn't refuse it, but he doesn't abuse it either. At official events, his glass is modestly filled with champagne, water, and lemon juice. Sometimes Putin can afford quality wine, but he has been avoiding beer lately, keeping in mind the need to maintain his shape even in high positions. How about Biden with that? I'll tell you a little later. It is worth mentioning separately that Putin is quite curious about food. During foreign visits, he doesn't insist on sticking to a standard menu and happily tries the local cuisine. During his visit to Thailand, for example, Putin enjoyed exotic dishes, from fried shrimp to fragrant duck curry and spicy soups. These tastes sharply contrast with the familiar Russian cuisine, but the president respectfully treated all the delicacies offered. A trip to South Africa provided the experience of dining at a height overlooking penguin colonies. Wherever Putin is, he's always open to new tastes, whether it's traditional Karelian kalitki, sweet Tatar chak-chak, or Ossetian pies. His gastronomic adventures show that even at the highest levels of power, food remains an important part of cultural exchange and mutual understanding. And it's just sad when a person goes to visit with their own samovar. Well, the Kremlin cuisine is clear, as are the official receptions. But are there any favorite public eateries? The Podvorye restaurant in Pavlovsk was Vladimir Putin's favorite place for a long time. Even during his tenure as deputy governor of St. Petersburg, he often visited there. A special section of the menu dedicated to his preferred dishes made the staff proud. Tsar's fish soup, boiled sturgeon, and chef's assortment were just some of the delicacies one could try there. In Moscow, Putin also visited some famous restaurants, such as Café Pushkin and Chaika, showing his love not only for Russian, but also for world cuisine. His habit of dining in different establishments indicates that he truly doesn't have one permanent favorite, preferring variety and quality. And I just have to tell you about a few curious situations. At a small dinner for 12 guests, everything was going smoothly until it was time for the main course – roasted pigeon. Jérôme Rigaud, who was at the culinary helm of the presidential kitchen, faced an unforeseen problem. In the midst of preparation, it turned out that the oven wasn't working. They simply took the pigeon out raw! Can you imagine the chef's horror? In the culinary world, where timing and precision are everything, Jérôme had to act quickly. He stationed a huge man, the chef, to guard the oven with a pigeon so that no one would open it, while he himself searched for ways to buy time. The solution came in the form of vodka sorbet, served after the hot appetizers. In the end, the pigeon was successfully cooked, and the guests were satisfied, unaware of the dramatic events behind the scenes. Vakhtang Kabushidi, another chef from the Kremlin kitchen, also faced an unexpected challenge when it was planned to serve a dish with shrimp at one of the events. However, due to a misunderstanding within the team, it turned out that some of the shrimp were simply forgotten, and Vakhtang had to serve the dish with only one shrimp per portion, instead of the required amount. Can you imagine the situation when you are served a plate with just one shrimp? Putin's guests probably thought about haute cuisine, but the chef later scolded the staff. No, of course they could have ordered delivery, but you understand, it's not that level. Alright, I've told you enough about Vladimir Putin. But what about Joe Biden? It turns out he's not just a high-ranking politician, but also a real sweet tooth. His incredible passion for ice cream has become part of his image. My name is Joe Biden, and I love ice cream. These words in 2016 became part of his political slogan. His love for ice cream is so deep that Biden's campaign once spent over $12,000 on Jenny's Splendid ice cream, giving it to sponsors and the team. But you can't live on just ice cream. Biden doesn't miss the opportunity to enjoy any other frozen treat, whether it's milk mousse or frozen custard. His culinary diary during the 2012 vice presidential campaign revealed a preference not only for fast food and ice cream, but also for more traditional sweets such as cookies, rice pudding, and various pies. I wonder, does the president order himself delivery from Dunkin Donuts with such a love for sweets? Although, if the courier gets into an accident, the country's leader will be hungry, so hardly. Well, if you got into an accident in America and don't know what to do next, where to turn for help, where to find a competent lawyer, or how to get compensation if you don't have insurance, the DTP America company helped its clients receive $21 million in compensation. Here, they will definitely answer all your questions. The link is in the description. But if we talk about normal food, not sweets, then Joe Biden shines with his passion for Italian cuisine, and in particular, pasta. Among the multitude of dishes, his special weakness is angel hair pasta pomodoro, a classic among Italian dishes with tomato sauce. Biden's love for Italian cuisine is not accidental. It reflects not only his personal preferences, but also a connection to Italian cultural heritage through his wife's family, Dr. Jill Biden, whose roots go back to Sicily. Jill Biden, in turn, is not only a support for her husband, but also a talented cook, especially when it comes to the classic Italian dish, chicken parmesan. This dish is not just food, it's part of family tradition and an expression of love and care that Jill strives to give her family. The guys who run the kitchen on the second floor, we don't have them come in to do breakfast. We can make our own eggs or pour a bowl of cereal, said the President of the United States. In response to an additional question from the host about whether he cooks eggs for breakfast himself, Biden noted, "I don't, but Jill does." He also acknowledged that cooking is not his strong suit. But what about healthy eating? After all, he's Mr. President. Joe Biden, despite his love for unhealthy food, also focuses on healthier options. Well, more precisely, he's forced to, due to his age, because health doesn't improve with years. His diet now includes salads of varying degrees of healthiness, from tuna salad to mini chopped salad with avocado and the traditional caprese salad. It's already not a secret that there's even a special dietitian in Biden's team who precisely prescribes menus for the chefs, calculates calories and all micronutrients, coordinating it with doctors. Recently, Joe even refused a corn dog at a state fair on camera, which may seem like a small detail, but in the context of political traditions and superstitions, this choice can be perceived as a tactical move. After all, everyone knows about Biden's love for street food and fast food. His frequent visits to places like Dairy Queen and Whataburger emphasize that Biden's food tastes remain accessible and down to earth, despite his high status. This interesting contradiction with perception of who and how should support political candidates, especially considering that fast food industry workers, according to Eater, tend to donate more money to Republicans than Democrats. However, Biden doesn't let this statistic influence his culinary preferences, emphasizing that politics and personal tastes are different aspects of life. Love for diet soda, it turns out, is one of the few things that unite the last two US presidents, despite their stark political and ideological differences. Donald Trump's tradition of ordering Diet Coke in the Oval Office with a red button has become quite famous, demonstrating his special passion for this drink. Such an unusual and very specific request became a symbolic element of his presidency and emphasized his unique management style. Joe Biden got rid of the button, but not of his love for the cool and fizzy drink. This amusing but telling fact reminds us that behind political ideologies and ambitions are ordinary human habits and preferences. By the way, I promised to tell you about alcohol. Joe Biden, as it is known, stays away from alcohol, guided by personal beliefs and experience. This choice evokes respect and understanding, considering his influence on family and close circle. He prefers a glass of orange juice. And Biden has no love for tea or coffee. He's absolutely indifferent to invigorating drinks. Well, except for cola, of course. When Jill Biden was asked about the essential products that must be in their home, she jokingly replied, "Ketchup, peanut butter, and jelly." These three products are symbols of American cuisine, each of which occupies its place in the home menu of many Americans. Ketchup is an integral part of most lunches and dinners, adding spiciness to dishes. Peanut butter and jelly, a classic combination for sandwiches, beloved by many Americans since childhood. This also underscores his connection to the everyday lives of ordinary people, demonstrating that even holding the highest state office, he remains a regular guy with simple taste preferences. what Putin has, what Biden has, practically all their preferences shout, "I'm just like you!" Whether in America or Russia, an ordinary person cannot become a chef for the president. These are always non-random people who have undergone hundreds of checks and are absolutely loyal to their craft, because the stakes here are too high. Therefore, answering the question of how much exactly they pay for such work is practically impossible. This information is kept secret, like all special service orders. But I'm absolutely sure that the numbers there are very solid, so that people have no temptation. Even civilian personnel in America make around $150,000 a year at the White House. For personal chefs, these amount will be much higher. Add to this the prestige and the doors that open for such a person. As you can understand, presidents are also human beings. There's nothing extraordinary and inaccessible in their food set. And everything else is just a matter of taste. Subscribe to my channel, like, and thanks for watching.